for joining me on this Friday. We are continuing our talk. Welcome, Leah. Thank you for being on today. On our book, The Blessed Life, Robert Morris, for somebody that may be new or just watching. We are currently in a new chapter entitled, Chapter 6, It Takes a Heart Transplant, is the name of the title. It Takes a Heart Transplant. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is talking about our hearts, talking about our motives, where life is concerned, but where money is concerned as well, since we are on the topic of money. Welcome, Taryn. Thank you for joining me today. Since we're talking about money, so that is obviously our direct subject, but indirectly we're going to be talking just about our hearts in life. A heart transplant. Now, what we're going to start off, I want to start off by saying this. Your heart motivation is really what matters with everything. What is your motivation for everything? What's your motivation for giving is what we're going to be talking about today. What is your motivation for desiring change in your life, or what is your motivation for everything? I just want you to think about that. A question that I think is always a good question to ask ourselves when we're doing things is, why do I do what I do? Why am I about to do this? Is there an ulterior motive behind it, or is there a pure motive behind it? Why do you do what you do? Ask yourself that when you're giving. When you're complimenting, it could be anything. I'm just trying to come up with or think of different reasons why, different things that we do. But regardless of what we do, we want to get better. We want to get better at doing what we do for the right motives, for the right reasons. Ultimately, if we do what we do out of love for God out of love for God and love for other people, then that will always keep us safe. Let me say that again, because that was good. If whatever we do for our love for God and love for other people, then that will keep us safe in our motives, right? Why do you do what you do? Now, we're going to start off in Luke 6. This is going to be our foundational scripture. Then I got two other ones that I'm going to read quickly. Luke 6:37 and 38. This is what some people call the law of reciprocity. The law of reciprocity, all right? It's a law. What is a law? A law is something that always happens. It's a law, like a universal law. God established, back in Genesis chapter 8, I believe it is. He said, as long as the earth remains, as long as the earth remains, now the earth is still remaining right now. As long as the earth remains, there shall be seed time and harvest. That's a law. That's a universal law that God has established. Listen, when it's a universal law, it works for everybody. This is not just for Christians. This is not just for followers of Christ. This is not just for children of God. It is a universal law. Somebody could be the biggest sinner in the world, or the most meanest, worst person in the world. But if they are doing, if they're doing good, they're going to get good back. And sinners, as a matter of fact, Jesus said this, hey, listen, sinners can be good to people. They may be good to them for the wrong reasons sometimes, but they can be good to them. So everybody can do good and receive good back. Everybody can do bad and receive bad back. It's a law of reciprocity, the seed time and harvest, sowing and reaping, whatever you want to call it. All right. As a matter of fact, other religions call it here's the big buzzword of recent years, karma. You know, you get back what you give. It's a universal law. They call it something else, but it is a universal law established by God. All right. Luke 6:37 and 38. Do not judge others. Don't judge others, and you will not be judged. He said, okay, if you don't want to be judged, don't judge others, because you're going to get back what you put out there. Do not condemn others, or it will all come back against you. So if you don't want to be condemned when you do something wrong, don't condemn others when they do something wrong, right? Because what you put out there is going to come back to you. Forgive others and you will be forgiven. Okay? I know that down the road, I'm going to do something that somebody's going to need my forgiveness for. So until then, I need to be forgiving people so that I can receive forgiveness back. Forgive others and you will be forgiven. Remember, seed time and harvest. What we sow, we're going to reap. All right? So Jesus starts off in verse 37 talking about these types of issues: judgment, condemnation, forgiveness. He's showing that this law works not only with money, but it works in life. What you sow, you're going to reap. Period. Now, verse 38, he goes in and says this: now, give and you will receive. Give and you will receive. So now he says, now when it comes to material things, he started off with judgment, condemnation, and forgiveness. Now he's talking about material things. Give and it will be given back to you. Give and you will receive. Your gift will return to you in full. Your gift. Now think about what he's saying. Your gift. When you give something to someone, when you bless someone, when you sow into someone's life, whether it's money, material things, love, joy, peace, forgiveness, or condemnation, unforgiveness, judgment, whatever you give, it's going to return to you in full. He's letting us know that if we want to receive good back, give out good. If you want to receive bad back, give out bad. It's fair for everybody. It's just for everybody. Again, this is a universal law for everybody, whether they're his children or not. See, the Father does this. He says, listen, I'm a good father. I allow the sun to shine. Jesus said this. I allow the sun to shine on the good and the bad, the good and the evil. I allow the rain to rain upon the good and the evil. So there are universal things that everybody benefits from, whether it's negatively or positively. And this is one of those laws: sowing and reaping. All right? Okay, so let me keep reading. Giving you will receive, your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together, to make room for more, running over, and poured into your lap. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. Now, when we look at the totality of Scripture, when we have to look at 1 Corinthians chapter 9, where Paul is talking about giving as well, so we can see how the Holy Spirit is speaking this law and get two witnesses where this law is concerned in order to get an understanding of it. Here's what it's saying. When Jesus is saying the amount you give, he's not talking about a numerical amount. He's not saying, okay, if you give $100, then it's going to determine what you get back. Or if you give $1,000, it's going to determine what you get back. That's not what he's saying. All right? So when you think about amount, don't think about a number. Whenever Jesus talks about giving, he's talking about in proportion to. In proportion to. What does that mean? That means that when God, and again, he's God, so he knows everything and he observes everything, so he has the capacity to do this. But when God looks at your giving, he's not looking at what you give in numerical value. He's looking at what you give in proportion to what you have. All right? So, if someone had $1 million and they walked up and gave someone $500, well, I mean, that's a nice blessing. It's a nice gesture. But in proportion to $1 million, that's nothing. It's like a nickel. Okay? It's like a nickel. If someone had $1,000 and they gave $500, now that $500 to God means more in their giving than the $500 to the millionaire. Why? Because that is half of all that they own, right? I think Leah put up something regarding the woman with the two mites. I think I saw that. It flashed up there, and then it leaves. Whenever they come up, it flashes up real quick and it leaves. The woman with the two mites. That's why Jesus was so impressed with her, and that's why her story continues to live on today. That's all she had, but she gave all she had. So to Jesus, that meant much more than the other wealthy people that were coming and dropping some coins in there as well. So when we talk about our giving, y'all, it's not just that we give a certain amount. And I'm talking about, now we're talking about offerings. We're not talking about tithe anymore. The tithe, we don't give it, we return it. That belongs to God. We're talking about everything now that you give over and above the tithe. Everything that you give over and above the tithe, the pair of shoes that you give, the clothes that you give, to help somebody or to bless somebody, to help someone in need or to bless someone, the money that you give, the time that you give, right? So everything that you are giving now, we're talking about a return on that, but most importantly, that it is a blessing to other people. So this is where the heart, let me go back real quick. So we determined what it means by to give. The amount you give will determine the amount you give back. Not the numerical amount, but in proportion to what you have. All right? In proportion to what you have. So now I'm looking at my money and I'm saying, hey, I have $700. I want to give in proportion to give an offering in proportion to what I have. Not a certain amount, but in proportion to what I have. All right? Okay. But he also says in verse 38, so I hope y'all got that. And now let me go back to verse 38. He says that there will be a return. Now this return in the book, he talks about the history of this return, that in the field, when it was harvest time in the agricultural times of the Bible times, that what they would do is they would have in the corners of their property, they would have harvest, or the harvest of the wheat, let's just say. It would be in the corners of the property. Everything in the middle would be the workers. They would be harvesting in order to bring it in for the owner, and they got paid for harvesting for the owner from the middle of their land. So let's say they had an acre. The middle of the land, the workers would harvest for the owner. The workers got paid. The owners received the harvest, would probably take it in, keep some for themselves, tithe, keep some for themselves, and sell it and make money. And then on the corners of the acre, they would have the harvest for the poor, for those that were in need, that could not afford to buy anything. And that's God's economy. God's economy is this, y'all. He is always looking out for those that don't have anything. That's why he tells us as the church to give to the poor. And that he says you will be blessed for giving to the poor. Because he always wants to make sure that everybody has enough, right? So he gives people like us more than enough so that we can be a blessing to the poor. All right. So anyway, in those corners, in the poor would come and harvest themselves. And what they would do is they would bring, let's just say, a basket. and they would fill the basket with wheat. I don't know, wheat. Let's just call it wheat. But what they would do is that they could only come and harvest one time, so they would fill it with wheat. It's kind of like your garbage. They fill it with wheat, and then you know how you push your garbage down to make more room for more garbage in your garbage bag? That's what they did. They put the wheat in their baskets, then they would push it down, and then they would shake it to make sure that there were no air spaces so that they would have more room to put more wheat in, because that's all that they could take. They wanted to get as much in that basket as they possibly could to take home. All right? That's what Jesus is talking about. He's saying this. That's the type of blessing that you will receive when you give. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. That's the type of blessing that you will receive when you give. But here's what we're going to talk about, because I don't have enough time. Here's what we're going to talk about on Tuesday. All right? On Tuesday, we're going to talk about the fact that God promises you the blessing, but he doesn't want you to give for sake of the blessing. The blessing is promised. He said, I'm going to give you back what you sow. Good measure, pressed down, and shaken together. But here is what we're going to talk about on Tuesday: the motives of your heart. He doesn't want us to give for the sake of getting back the blessing for our own pleasure. He wants us to give for the sake of glorifying him and blessing other people. Here's the questions I want to leave you with. Why do you give? And then we're going to pick up on our other two scriptures on Tuesday. Why do you give? To see the life of someone changed? Is that why you give? Yes or no? When you sow that seed into somebody's life, when you give an extra offering at church, why do you give? Is it to see the life of someone change? Is it to see the need of someone met? Is that why you give? I hope so. To see someone's life change, to see their spiritual life change, to see our church continue to have the necessity, the needs met, so that we can continue to put the word forth, put the word out in every channel that we're able to, on every social media outlet, on TV, ultimately on TV, radio. Do you give for that? To see the lives of people change? To see the need of someone met? To see the joy on someone's face? These are great reasons to give, right? To see someone, it is rewarding when you give something to someone and see them smile. That's why Paul said, hey, Jesus said this: it is more blessed to give than to receive. It's more blessed to give than to receive. So we give with good motives. The motives being, let's glorify God. The motive being, let's bless somebody else. But here is the automatic result for you, though. Yet not the reason we give. That he is going to give back to you good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Why? Because as it's running over, you know what you're able to do again? Give to someone to see their life change, or give to see the people's lives change. Give to see the need of someone met. You're going to be able to give to see the joy on someone's face. And then you know what's going to happen? You're going to continue to be blessed, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, so that you can do what? Give to see someone else's life change. It's a perpetual sowing and reaping. That's what we want to establish in our lives. A perpetual sowing and reaping. I'm giving for the right reasons, and then God blesses me. And then I give for the right reasons, and then God blesses me more. And then I give for the right reason, then God keeps blessing me. Why? As we keep saying, that God is looking for people he can trust with more. He's looking for people that he can trust to continue to funnel, to distribute the blessing into lives of other people that he wants established in their lives. All right? So, again, we're going to pick up on this on Tuesday, talking about our heart behind our giving. And on Sunday, I hope to see everyone. If you're local, come on out. Come on in person. Come on in person. We want to see your face. We want to be able to hug you. We want to be able to say hello to you. Come on in person. If you're not able to make it due to some reason and you need to watch us online, then by all means, watch us online. If you're somewhere else outside of the city, then by all means, watch us online. But I'm looking forward and I'm expectant of a powerful, powerful word, a powerful service on this Sunday. So everybody have a great weekend. I love you all. Thank you all for joining me again today. And I will see you on Sunday. God bless you. Bye-bye.